Hurt you, little more come near, let me just show you. Don't know, can't talk, let me just show you. Don't be obsessive, it could be intensive, it could be explosive, it could be offensive. Don't be defensive, don't be aggressive, it will be a waste cause we could be expensive.
Alright, let's show you how to tape for Jiu-Jitsu. So we're first going to start with finger taping. Now if we're using a regular roll of tape, I tend to split it into 3 different sections. And you'll see in the video we're splitting it. I pull about 10 to 12 inches. And then I wrap it around the base beneath the knuckle. I do 1 wrap around. I cross underneath the knuckle. And then I usually do like 2 wraps around. And then go right back towards the knuckle. And cross underneath it. I wrap it around and squeeze it. So the reason why we focused on it this way is because it's a lot easier to get your mobility, and it's useful when you're doing grips. Now when we have a different piece of tape like this, so this is like a pre-cut roll, it's a little bit easier. Now the biggest mistake that people use when they are taping their fingers is they pull it way too hard and they do it way too tight. So that's why I recommend pulling a nice piece of tape first, about 10 to 12 inches, or you'll kind of figure it out with the thickness of your finger, then cutting it, and then wrapping it very, very softly around, just enough for it to stick. And you want to go around at least twice. Go underneath the knuckle, wrap it a couple times beneath that knuckle, and then cross it back. And then once we reach all the way to the end, I will then just squeeze everything together and then move my finger to make sure that I have enough mobility so I can still grip. So I'm showing a couple different fingers, and obviously depending on how tight you want it, you can also do it around the first knuckle, you can do it around the second knuckle, or you can do it against both of them. Now typically when you're competing, I tend to tape all of my fingers. Now the other option that we have is not actually cross hatching underneath and just providing more stability. So like on the thumb, I'll just do a couple different wraps underneath just so I can have mobility in my thumb, but it still provides enough support so I can still train.
Ready?
Buddy taping. So what is buddy taping? That's usually when you have like an injury where you are unable to move your finger as much. And so I usually don't cut it, and I just do a nice wrap so it's pretty tight. And then once I wrap it around like 5-6 times, then I will connect it against the other one. The reason why I don't just tape 2 fingers together is because you'll get friction in between both of the fingers, and then it'll cause like calluses, cutting. So if you wrap the injured finger first and then you wrap the secondary finger to it, you have a lot more stability. Now when you have a longer finger, like the middle finger, you will have to start at the base, lightly wrap it towards the top a few times, and then come back down a little bit. Once you have it secured, then you put your fingers together and you buddy tape it together. So then you don't have that chafing or rubbing in between both of your fingers. And then I squeeze it nice and tight, and then you should check it, because usually when I buddy tape, you should not be able to bend your finger at all, and it provides it to be very stable. When we buddy tape the toe, it's a little bit different because we don't have a lot of space between our fingers, right? So I like to cut off a smaller piece, maybe 5 to 6 inches, so I can wrap that around at least 2 times around the toe. I will make it nice and tight, and then I cut off another secondary piece, cut that about 5 to 6 inches, and then I will buddy tape my secondary toe to my primary. And that'll allow me to help stabilize the toe, still train, and not like scuff it or kick it so I can get further injury. So let's focus on the wrist. Whenever I need stability, it's important to make sure that you can tape your wrist. And so what I'll do is I will go a few times around the base, and then I'll start crossing it, going towards the hand, doing a couple around there, and then weaving it back and forth so I have stability in the thumb and inside of the hand. because it's really important that you're not doing it too tight. You can still have mobility, but you also want to make sure that it's stable enough so you can post it and not have any issues. And then once you wrap it a few more times around the hand, go around the base, it should be stable enough for you to post. Still move back and forth, but still have that stability so you won't have as much pain. Golfers and tennis elbow. I think these ones are very difficult to deal with. So depending on where you have the pain, whether it's on the inside or the outside, I like to do one strip of tape. If I have a little bit of pain on the lower part, right beneath the elbow, and I don't want to do it too tight. I want to make sure that I can still move my hand, bend my elbow, but it still provides stability to press onto the ligament so it doesn't provide me any pain. Now, if I have a little bit more pain on the outside, I'll tend to bring it up above the elbow, and same thing, I will wrap the tape around, but you don't want to go really tight because it's going to cut off circulation and you're not going to be able to bend your arm. Just enough a couple times around, and then after you cut it, squish it on there, make sure you have the mobility, and then you're good to go and train. Okay, the ankle is definitely a tough one. The reason why is because we use our feet a lot when we're training. Obviously, if you have a minor sprain or something like that, this will be the best option. So I like to go along the base, right above the ankle, do a couple times around, and then start to cross and go towards the foot, providing a couple rounds around that for stability. Then I'll go back to the ankle, and you'll see me go back up around and go down around the ankle and then up towards the actual base to provide support. Depending on how damaged your ankle is or how much pain you have, will determine how many times and how tight you'll wrap it. After you go around and cross hatch, you'll go around the base above the ankle, wrap it a few more times for stability, and then after you're done, you can check it to make sure that you still have mobility, but it's also providing adequate support. And last but not least is the knee. So the knee, we're treating it just like a giant finger because we need to bend it quite a bit. So I like to do a couple times underneath the knee, and then we cross hatch underneath and then wrap it a few more times on top. And then I want to make sure that we're going back and forth, providing stability and support above and below the knee while cross hatching it underneath the knee like a cross, as you see, so then you can still have mobility. Make sure that you're not doing it too tight. You don't want to cut off circulation to your foot. You don't want to cut off circulation to your knee. You should be pulling it, creating a lot more length, and then wrapping it around slowly and then going back and forth. Depending on how much support you need will determine how many times you go back and forth and you wrap it around above and below the knee. This is a nice, easy way to do it, unless you want to purchase a knee brace, but we shouldn't be relying too much on braces. So thank you so much. Hopefully this is helpful, and I'll see you guys back on the mats.